My name is Alex, and this is my co-founder Riley, and just here because we think we can make the world maybe a tiny little bit better. So what we basically want to do is help nature pay for itself. So we believe that there is a growing awareness out there for environmental awareness and sustainability, and we also know that money makes the world go round. So we think that if we can incentivize sustainable investment, we can make sustainable investment profitable and maybe make a better future.
So the problem is that investing in the environment has traditionally been a bad way to make money and a good way to lose it. Returns on investment dictate that the allocation of capital in financial markets, they do dictate the allocation of capital in financial markets. And so with no way to make a return, no money is invested in environmental projects. So our aim is to offer a solution to that and provide market justifiable returns to investments in environmental projects.
So what we're basically going to do is take environmentally conscious capital from investors over here and match it up, link it in an online marketplace with environmentally sustainable business ideas from entrepreneurs over here. It's an equity crowdfunding platform, which means that investors in these ventures will be able to earn risk-justified returns, or at least that's our aim. And having them be able to earn risk-justified returns is, in our opinion, the best way to incentivize continued and sustainable investment in the environment going forward.
So operating as a front-end matching engine, ExSeed is exposed to growth opportunities in both conservation finance and in the market for equity crowdfunding. Credit Suisse recently estimated that sustainable investment globally will grow from 50 billion to 400 billion per year as investors seek social and environmental returns on top of their existing financial returns. The current global equity crowdfunding market is estimated at 2.5 billion for 2015, and this has grown 500% since the year 2013. In comparison, the nascent Australian market is extremely young and is currently worth only 20 million. So at present, there are only 2 incumbent competitors operating in equity crowdfunding in Australia, and this represents a huge opportunity for ExSeed to establish itself as a niche competitor in the Australian market, and in fact will be the sole equity crowdfunding platform to offer sustainable ventures that deliver environmental returns.
So essentially, the way we're going to work is this. We're going to have investors register on our site as users for free, and from there they can browse a range of ventures that we've listed on the site. The minimum investment is going to be $500, which means that instead of just opening up investment in equities to sophisticated investors, we'll open it up to mum and dad retail investors just like you or me. It also means that we'll probably focus our company more on the early stage side of equity ventures. What I mean by that is we'll be listing companies that are looking to have sums around $10,000 to $100,000 invested in them. As part of our company, we'll have a pre-screening process that conducts due diligence on the companies that we plan to list. We expect this due diligence to be not only in terms of performance, in saying that I mean not only in terms of whether or not the ventures we list will turn out to be viable, sustainable companies, but we also expect as part of our due diligence to screen companies so that we only list companies with a tangible environmental benefit. Investors, once they've selected a company, will transfer funds into our holding account. It's going to be a unit trust structure. If the entrepreneur is successful in reaching the target that they've set for investment, then they'll receive all the funds and they'll be able to go and fund their company. If they're unsuccessful, it's an all or nothing play, so the money will be returned to investors. A significant barrier or a significant challenge to our company is going to be the regulatory atmosphere in Australia at the moment. What I mean by that is currently mum and dad investors are actually locked out of equity crowdfunding investment in Australia. However, there is legislation currently in Parliament which should be passed in the latter stages of this year, which means that mum and dad investors will be able to invest in equity crowdfunding. Then the reason that it hasn't passed is because it got through the House of Representatives earlier this year, made it to the Senate, and then it was considered too restrictive and was blocked by Labor in not allowing enough freedoms to your mum and dad investors. So when that legislation passes, we expect it to open up a huge new market for us in terms of the investors that we can present to. And not only will it allow us to expand our business, but it'll also mean that we can popularise sustainable investment by offering it to significant number of people who would otherwise not be involved.
So our platform will receive a 3% funds, 3% funds management fee applied on all funds successfully transferred to ventures, and a 15% performance fee on top of that for any capital gains delivered to investors following successful exit through either a trade sale or IPO. We conservatively expect to attract 2 ventures in the first year of operation, with 2 ventures in the 2 years preceding. And that dictates that the ExSeed business model will become profitable in the 3rd year, with network effects improving profitability in the coming years.
That's basically it, guys. I mean, I'll just sum up. We plan to take environmentally conscious capital from investors over here, bring it to environmentally sustainable projects over here. We think that by making nature pay for itself, we can build a better future.
So saying I'm an environmentally conscious investor at the moment, what are my other options? Where else can I put my money at the moment? I'm environmentally conscious.
It depends a lot if you're a sophisticated investor or a retail investor. So sophisticated investors can enter through VC funds, they can enter through equity crowdfunding platforms, such that kind of thing. Whereas retail investors at the moment have pretty limited options, especially in the startup atmosphere. So by pretty limited, I mean almost non-existent. It's very hard for a retail, by sophisticated, I mean earns over $250,000 a year and has more than $2 million in net assets. So if you don't meet those criteria, it's very, very difficult to get involved in the startup market.
Will this require you guys to get an AFSL?
Yeah, it will. Riley's the expert in the in the things we're going to have to need to get. So part of our regulatory meeting the standards is going to be exploring those avenues. But basically, we do have to get that, and we do have to list with like an exchange like the ASX, so that they manage the equities that we're providing. So we're not actually responsible for the equities that we'll be providing, although we keep the detailed transaction list and we keep detailed information about the shareholders. But yeah, it's all regulated through an external body.
And so you plan to offer liquidity in the underlying investment? If I crowdfund something and I want to get rid of it at a later date, do I have someone else to unsell it to, or am I stuck with it?
So yeah.
So I mean, the ultimate idea is providing liquidity for the securities, so that they do become investments in themselves.
It's a really interesting idea, and one of the things that I was quite interested in here is actually looking at effectively being a front end to the ASX. Does that mean, therefore, you're going to do more compliance the ASX requires for any company that lists on the ASX?
So you mean list as an exit strategy from?
But any company listed on the ASX is going to be spending probably 100k on the legals and due diligence in order to get listed on the ASX. So your companies, are they going to have to go through that process?
No, they're not. To be listed on our company, you'll just have to undertake the due diligence that we put forward on you. Then you get funding. Just like being equity crowdfunded means you don't have to go through the compliance that the ASX demands. So at the current regulatory environment, you can be classed as an unlisted public company and have up to 50 non-employee shareholders. So obviously our companies, as the same in that class, would not have to undergo that compliance. They don't have to do the detail in your reports. They don't have to have external audits. They don't have to have boards. But if they were going to exit, once they've been funded by us in the future, if they were going to exit, once they've grown over 5 years or whatever, then they would obviously have to, if they were going to exit through RBO, have to undertake that compliance. But by that stage, they do have to do it. That's the idea.
That's great. That's really interesting. You're looking at doing pre-screening as well, your own due diligence. How confident are you that you can effectively beat all the VCs out there, all the business angels that spend their lifetime doing this and hoping to get 1 in 100 right or 1 in 10 right?
Yeah.
How confident are you that you can beat them?
We're fairly confident in being able to match them in what we do, where we don't necessarily have to beat them because we're hoping to provide funding for much smaller startups than they would provide funding for. Usually VCs invest in millions of dollars and maybe upwards of 300,000 at least. So yeah, maybe we don't have to beat them, but we do want to compete. So we both work in finance, we've both got undergraduate finance degrees. So we expect to be able to conduct a fairly good amount of due diligence. And we also expect that through strategic partnerships with universities and incubator and accelerator programs, that we'd be able to get some help in doing the due diligence. So the companies that we would be listing would probably be coming through accelerators. we would have already got a lot of due diligence undertaken and then we conduct our own on top of that. Thank you.
Okay, and the last prize that we're going to award tonight is the best People's Choice Award. That is basically the one that you have chosen. For the first time, we have used Thinkable platform, and we were amazed that in just 2 hours we got 229 votes, right? And it was incredibly close. So the winner just won for 2 votes difference. It was really, really, really close. And this award is also supported by Academy XI. Academy XI is a very interesting startup company that delivers online and face-to-face workshops, and they are awarding this company with a full scholarship. So if, just wait a moment, I'm gonna call the winner, and then you can introduce your company. And the winner is ExSeed. Congratulations.